What's up, Hoop fans? Welcome back to the channel. Today is Monday, June 17th, and I'm recording this around 4 p.m. over here on the West Coast Pacific time in Sacramento. Today, I'll be talking about Game 4 and the blowout win by the Mavericks and preview today's Game 5 in Boston at the TD Garden. You don't want to miss this. All right, guys, so I wanted to break down a couple of things from Game 4 in Dallas here real quick. Couple observations that I made. First thing is the Mavericks were the more hungrier team on Friday night. They came out of the gate busting and looking to not get swept because that was what was at stake on Friday. They really looked to push the ball in transition, get easy buckets. Porzingis was not playing in this game, was listed as out. He is playing tonight for Game 5. I'm recording this on Monday. It's a little bit before tip-off around 5 p.m. over here on the West Coast in Sacramento, California. Second point I want to make is Luka looked better on the defensive end. He got a lot of heat and criticism from the media personnel about not being up to the challenge on the defensive end, fouling out with about 4 minutes left to go and some change in that game number 3. He bounced back in this one, played exceptional defense. That wasn't the reason the Mavericks lost. Let's just get that out of the gate. Is they didn't lose because of Luka's defense. They lost as a collective unit. You don't lose because of one player. It takes a collective effort on the defensive end. And I don't think it's really right that people in the media are calling him out as it is. But we have a job to do and we have to cover things that we see. Did maybe people take a little bit too far? Yeah. But that's not the reason that the Mavericks lost the game in game number 3. Another point that I want to bring up here is Luka got to his spots very comfortably. You got him in the pick and rolls going against Tillman, some Hauser, some other big guys. Holford. It was crucial for them to get those mismatches, and he just looked very comfortable. He was going at his own pace, and it really helps that Dante Exum was bringing up the ball, which a lot of people are not even talking about. Something that I want to make a key point on is it really exhausts that effort for Luka and gives him more time on the offensive end. Gives him about 10 to 15 seconds on the offensive end to really get his legs under him and do what he needs to do. Attacking the basket, kicking it out for his supporting players to hit the 3 or for the easy dunks that Derek Lively III got at the rim. So that was something that the staff on the Mavericks really were A+ on. Another thing is just the supporting cast. I talked about in my last pod where the Mavericks role players needed to make shots, especially playing at home. The crowd behind you, you got to make your shots, got to make them pay. You cannot lose a single game if you want to win the NBA championship right now. So the role players definitely did that. Came out hitting threes, lively threes, dunks at the basket. Maxi Kleber even hitting threes. He hasn't played much of this series at all, or even the whole playoffs, has been injured. But he comes in, hits some big shots for them, gives them meaningful minutes. A lot of their starters did not play in the second half, so that's definitely what you wanted to see. I don't think anybody saw the Mavericks winning 550 at one point in game number 4, but hey, anything is possible in the association. Tim Hardaway Jr. is another player that also got frozen out by Jay Kidd and his staff, but he comes in this one, knocks down 15 points. He went 5 for 7. We'll talk about him in just a moment here. My case in point is the supporting cast came to play in this game. Last point I want to make is the Celtics did not match the Mavericks' energy right out the gate, and Mavericks really came out running, and the C's didn't match the energy, and it's been the opposite end for most of this series where the Mavericks were not matching the Celtics' energy, but it was the opposite in game number 4. So the Celtics were not making a lot of the threes, and we've talked about this before where if the Celtics did not make most of the threes, they end up losing the game. In this one, they did end up losing the game. In game number 1, they could have lost that one because they didn't shoot the rock very good at all, even against the Pacers in the last series where they ended up escaping a couple games because, hey, a couple possessions at the end, this is the playoffs, it's going to happen. So those were my key takeaways for game number 4. This part of the short video is called Run by the Numbers. I'm going to give you guys hard numbers from game number 4 and what it actually means for this particular series. So before I get into this graphic that you guys see above me here, is the Mavericks were absolutely on fire in game number 4, dominating the Celtics with their 122-84 victory on Friday night. Luka was unstoppable in that first half. Most of their players did not play in the second half. That is the starters on the Mavs side and the Celtics side. But Luka was hot in this one, 25 points at halftime, He finished off the game with 29 points, 5 rebounds, and 5 assists, and he sat for the rest of that whole game. And Mavericks defense held the Celtics to just 36% shooting, guys, from the field. That is very impressive. Jason Tatum was only limited to 15 points, while Jaylen Brown only had 10 points in this particular ball game. So let's go ahead and run the numbers. So points in the paint. The Mavs had 34 more points in the paint than the Celtics. Not having the rim protector in Porzingis really hurt the Celtics in this particular game, because you know what? The Mavericks scored 49% of their points in the paint. Yes, you got that right. 60 points out of 122 points, 49% feasting in the paint. That is why I keep saying you definitely need KP if you have a chance at winning a championship for the Celtics. So Joe Mazzulla and his staff cannot be happy about this number. I'm sure he told his ball club that it needs to be better in game number 5 at the TD Garden. It's also worthwhile to note that this was the Celtics' worst game scoring in the paint this particular season, guys. And what does that look like? 13 for 33. That's a 39% clip for the game. So not good at all. That's not going to do it. That's not going to win you a championship at the end of the day. The last point that I also want to bring up, in addition to a couple of other things, is the Celtics were absolutely horrible. The Celtics were absolutely horrible shooting the ball from the three-point arc. They were 5 for 19 at halftime. That's a 26% clip, guys. Not going to cut it. Not going to cut it at all. Another thing I want to make on this particular short video is Dallas's free throws continue to be a continuous problem. They were 62% from the line at halftime. They finished the game off at 68%. Again, not going to cut it if you want to win the championship. Last point that I want to make is this was the first game in which the Mavericks outscored the Celtics in transition. As you see the points here, fast break points 11-6 for the Mavericks. And according to Synergy tracking, this was the very first game in the series that the Mavs outscored the Celtics in transition. This means that the Mavs were looking to push the tempo and go early in the shot clock against the Celtics. Game number 5 happening tonight at the TD Garden. Let's look ahead of game number 5 happening in Boston. The Celtics need to bounce back if they want to win a championship tonight. Key to their success will be getting Jason Tatum and Jaylen Brown, their dynamic duo there in Boston, back to their usual scoring ways. They both need to be in tandem, working together, scoring the rock if they want to be winning a championship tonight. They also need to tighten up their defense on Luka. You cannot afford him extra seconds to be able to spray the ball out to his target men on the outside, or those easy lobs that they got in game number 4 in Dallas. You got to get to those shooters, because if they get their confidence up, and they'll make you pay. The Mavericks are averaging 112 points per game in this series. Of course, the game number 4 is an outlier. That was absolutely blowout win by the Mavs on Friday. The Celtics are at 105 points per game. Rebounding and turnovers, guys, will be very crucial in this game. And whoever controls these two aspects will win game number 5. The team that controls both of these numbers typically have won the game in this particular series. So that's something to really keep an eye out for in this game number 5. And another key point is Porzingis is back tonight. KP is back. He's available. The Mavs really feasted in the paint. Talked about 60 points at the rack in game number 4. Let's see with having KP back if that helps them get that number a little bit lower for their defense. Is he going to be effective? He's injured. He's not 100%. Most of the players that played a lot of minutes during the regular season, not 100% at all. But what's going to happen tonight? Something to look out for. Another thing is who are going to be the difference makers for tonight's game. There's a couple key players on both sides. Drew Holiday, Derek White for the Celtics. And then for the Mavericks, DG, that's Daniel Gafford, and Tim Hardaway Jr. Those are going to be key players in this particular game. Let's break down one by one. Starting with Drew Holiday, number 4 in the Boston Celtics. He had a terrible game, number 4, as did most of the players on the Celtics. He's going to be looking to bounce back from that game. Those possessions against Luka, tightening up on defense, getting locked in. Let's see how he performs in this game number 5 tonight. D. White is also another player. He makes a lot of big shots. You saw him hit a buzzer beater in that last game, and he hits a lot of crucial points when you really need him. So that's something to look out for. D. White is not afraid of the big lights. he's going to let it rip from three. He's a good 3-point shooter, 3-and-D guy, and he's going to be a instrumental aspect for these Celtics. Tim Hardaway Jr., another player, went 5 for 7 in game number 4 after being frozen out by J. Kidd and his dad. So shooting the rock at a 71% clip last game, but can he continue this on the road? That's going to be another thing that we'll need to be seeing and keep an eye out for, is can he continue his momentum in this game number 5 tonight? It's going to be a lot harder at the TD Garden. Those guys are very rowdy fans. Let's see if he's able to do that. Also, Daniel Gafford. We saw Daniel Gafford after the trade and get a lot of easy lobs, being a very great rim protector. Let's see if he continues to do that in this particular game. Game number 4, he was really good at protecting the rim for his team and getting those pick and rolls with Luka, getting easy buckets. That's what you need him to do. That's what he's effective in. You need to let him shine. And he had a quote after the game, quote, "Scored a couple of baskets down the stretch, got blocks, gave us a lot of energy at the time because I felt like I was actually doing something to impact and help the team win," he said. It was a breath of fresh air, close quote. So we'll have to monitor how he does tonight if he continues to do this, because his team really needs it. That's what I have for this particular breakdown. Make sure you guys follow, subscribe to the channel, subscribe to the Shot Clock Scribbles podcast on all platforms where you listen to audio. Make sure to rate and review, give 5-star reviews as possible. I really would appreciate that. I'm on TikTok as well, Instagram, Shot Clock Scribbles. Look out for me. I'm out of here.